We're live. We're live, boys.
We hope.
Just give it 13 seconds at the intro play, and then you'll see your wonderful faces. Takes a minute.
And you'll be able to see the chat.
Yeah, I see the chat on my other screen. That's why I'm...
Right, okay, well, good evening, and if you can see us, and then please just message Tyler in the chat. Just
it means I did my job.
Yeah, he's doing his job, and he has actually pushed the buttons right. So,
Yay.
Button extraordinaire, presser Tyler. So, hopefully we are up and running. Somebody can just let us know that they can see the stream okay. This is our first live broadcast. Anybody? Just message us and say chat, hello.
Got it.
Yes, no?
When can we see it?
Hey?
What are we seeing, Shorty? Shorty's asking what we can see.
Shorty's asking what can we see. Anything. My fabulous face would be a good start.
Yeah, David, the echo is me. I'm going to have to mute my mic. That's the problem. So y'all are going to have to talk.
Are we good? Oh, okay. Hopefully we'll pick up some viewers, because that is just on time. So, you got anybody on the stream?
Yeah, there's people on here. I'll be in and out.
Alrighty. Okay, yeah, well, we'll start, and thank you. So, good evening and welcome to Astroworks and to our first live broadcast, actually. So, we're a little bit disjointed. We've not done this before. Normally, the format that we've done has been sort of recorded scripts, but we've got quite a few bits and pieces that we wanted to catch up with, so thought we'd do a live broadcast and also give you the opportunity to do some Q&A about some of the stuff that we've got here tonight. So on the show, we've got the button master, which is Tyler, and over there in Springdale, Arkansas, and we got Bina. So for those of you unfamiliar with Bina is also one of the ZWO technical support team, and Bina and I spend our spare time, what we have, helping ZWO do their product development, product testing in-house, but also helping you guys when you email ZWO support. It'll be Bina and I that pick that up. So, good evening, guys. Welcome. Been a while since we've been together at NEAF.
I had my yawn around the world.
Yes, yeah. So I thought Bina's been doing a lot of support work around Raza and the 2600 Duo. So I thought it'd be a good idea that we could get some feedback from Bina about how he's managed that. And I know there was a few questions about how Raza performed with Duo. So the other things we've got on the show tonight, we've got a first look at the AM3 versus the AM5. We've got to have a look at that and look at some of the differences. We'll also have a look at Seestar and get some of the latest updates from that. And you're all squishy. A pair of you got like cone heads. And we'll also look at the new refractors. I've got one of the refractors here to have a look at as well. And we'll look at also the camera angle adjuster, because this thing keeps coming up time and time again. Also lots of questions about this and where are we with the camera angle adjuster. So a little bit of news about that. And we'll just do a little bit of a Q&A around Duo and any other questions that might pop up. So hopefully answer a few questions. We do get an awful lot of questions on the ZWO help desk forum and also on the Facebook forums as well. So we try and answer as many as we can, but we don't live on Facebook all day. So yeah, some of us have to actually go and do a job. So Bina, anything you want to add to that? Anything?
Oh, thanks, Simon. Yeah, I mean it is definitely a journey and adventure on the boards, and it's it's been a good time, and helping people out. I think that's the best thing about what we do is helping the people. And then again, we got some products here that hopefully we can shed some light and give some good tips and some things to get things going.
Yep, absolutely. So I think one of the first things we'll do is have a look at this little baby. So I know that a lot of interest in the AM3. So when we were at NEAF, we obviously had a lot of the new product range there. So we had the AM3, we had the new refractors there, we had Duo there, and I don't know, there was just a tremendous amount of interest, not only those, but also Seestar as well. And I did manage to bring one of the Seestars back with me from NEAF, which we've been testing alongside TJ and I. But finally, these are starting to ship now, and I noticed also online some people receiving their refractors as well. So I thought we'd just have a look at the AM3 actually, and look at some of the differences. Now, apart from the actual physical size and the actual weight capability of the mount, there are one or two little things that are slightly different about the AM3. And as we start at the top, I mean, obviously the saddle is a slightly different size. It's slightly smaller. The overall body side is slightly different. Heck of a lot smaller in terms of weight capacity, and the actual weight itself is about a kilo and a half lighter than the AM5. It has some very, very slight differences. If we start at the front panel, the front panel looks pretty much the same as the AM5, but there is an addition of this little sort of button down here. It's probably hard to see on the camera, but this button is for a Bluetooth connection. That's for the reset here. So this mount has Bluetooth built in. The AM5 doesn't have that. And you can connect and control the mount over Bluetooth as well as the normal Wi-Fi. It still has the Wi-Fi in the hand controller, but it has the ability to also manage the connection over Bluetooth as well. And some of the other differences, then, it doesn't have the guide foot here, so it doesn't have the little foot on the side, although it still has the screw threads in the actual saddle. So that you can connect, that plate there if you really want to have the AM5 or AM3, carrying the ASI Air. There are some other differences as well. If you look at the back here now, on the AM5, the elevation readout is on the side here, but actually that's not on the AM3. It's actually on the back here. I actually quite like this. It's in a nice place to see when you're actually sitting behind it, adjusting it. And you'll notice that there's no bubble levels here either. They are missing on the AM3. And the other thing that you'll notice is missing is there is no locking lever. So that locking lever is missing because obviously the body is much, much smaller, but the clamps are on the bottom here, and you can pretty much tighten those up and create a bit of friction as much as you want to make it easy to maneuver, but also to make it not too slack. And you do actually have a 3/8 bolt hole in the bottom here, the screw hole. The base plate has the fittings for the P200 base plates, so you can fit this to a standard carbon fiber tripod, the TC40. You could fit a normal camera tripod with a 3/8 fitting, and also you could put this into the P200 extension as well. So it does have some slight differences. Knobs are slightly different as well. They're not quite as big. If you looked at the AM5, you can see the size difference. Knobs are slightly different, locking levers, etc. There is another there is another missing item, and that is the 12-volt outlet. There is no 12-volt outlet on the AM3. So that is another slight difference as well. But in terms of weight, it doesn't sound a lot, but actually there is quite a lot of difference between these. I can pick this up with one hand and it's quite comfortable, whereas the AM5 is it's a bit of a different beast. I think it's meant to be about a kilo and a half or something like that. What's that in US money? Oh, £3-4 pounds, something like that. It feels a lot more than that with one hand anyway. So the AM3, exactly the same operating system as the AM5, and you can connect the ASI Air to it. Now, that was one question that came up in the last week. Now these are starting to ship, and one of the questions was, with the AM3, when I connect it to my ASI Air, it doesn't appear as an AM3. It won't right now. The last release of ASI Air software didn't have the AM3 built into it, which means that you can use the AM5 and the command set's exactly the same. There is no difference in the two mounts, and the AM3 will appear as its own entry in the mount list in a forthcoming release, which hopefully won't be too far away. Other than that, the mount is pretty similar to the AM5. Performance is exactly the same, I have to say. And Bina, when was the last time you got your AM5? How long ago? You're on mute, buddy.
Why are you on mute?
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, probably about a month ago I got my second one. So
yeah. So the one thing I've noticed, I've seen older AM5s and the new ones, and they're really nailing the performance of these. The P graph on the AM3 was pretty outstanding. So they're really doing a great job churning these out at some at really good specs. And certainly with this mount has 8 kilo payload with no counterweight. It still has the hole at the bottom, so you can put the counterweight bar in it. You can still put up to 5 kilos of counterweight on it, and you can then use up to 13 kilos, which is, what's that, 30 pounds?
Yeah, roughly.
Trying to think what that is in US money. Other than that, the mount is the same. So if you're a traveler, then the AM3 would be quite nice. And I actually did play around with the Bluetooth on this. So the mount app that comes from ZWO to use with these mounts, there are some slight differences as well. So currently, the AM3 Bluetooth is only supported via the Android app. It's not available. It's only available on Apple. It's not available on Android yet. So if you own an iPhone or an iOS device, you can use the ASI Air Mount app and actually get access to the Bluetooth connection. It's not available just yet on Android. That is coming.
Because that was a question, actually.
Sorry, Tyler?
So that was a question. Dale Beasley asked about the Bluetooth on the AM5, and yes, I know there's an echo. I can't fix it.
You're quite quiet. Can you speak up a bit?
Okay, there's going to be an echo. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. What was the question?
Dale was about the Bluetooth on the mounts, but you answered it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so the Bluetooth is available only with Apple iOS devices right now, but it is coming for Android. You can control the mount, and you can guide it around using the mount app. Okay, it's not supported through ASI Air yet. Only the mount app, and there is one other slight difference in this as well. to do an upgrade of the firmware to the mount, you have to be in Wi-Fi mode, not in Bluetooth mode. When you go into the app, there is actually part of the screen where you can actually, it says switch mount, and you can switch it from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi. But if you want to do an upgrade to these mounts, then you need to be in the Wi-Fi mode. And actually what you do is go into the app, choose Wi-Fi mode, then go into the settings and go to the AMH management page, and you'll get into the mount management page there. What you need to do is to actually set this up with a Wi-Fi access point. So that could be your home Wi-Fi, could be your mobile phone with a hotspot, for example. And once you've done that, you can then go to the firmware tab on the app page, and you can get to see if there are any firmware upgrades. And then if there is, you can press update from within the app.
Sounds like a video. That's
actually a really good thing, because the Wi-Fi is also accessible to any browser and any PC. So if you have a PC that has a Wi-Fi connection, you can connect to the mount Wi-Fi access point, and then go to the web page, which is 192.168.4.1, and then you'll get the same management page as well in the app. So there are quite a few different ways of getting to that. And actually, the other way that you're going to be able to get to that mount management page is via ASCOM. So I literally just tested this week the online upgrade via ASCOM as well. So that's coming very, very soon too. So nice little mount. I'm really impressed with it. It is nice. And one of the things, if you've bought Seestar, then this fits very, very nicely onto the little carbon fiber tripod that you get with the Seestar. So if you wanted a very, very small, lightweight, wide field rig, so you could, if you've bought a Seestar, you can get the little tripod with it. Then you can put the AM3 onto that and chuck that in the backpack, and that'll be really, really nice. So quite low power usage as well. So really does make for a nice little portable setup.
Good.
So that's about it. AM3. Tyler, Bina, any thoughts, comments, questions?
Shipping, but when do you think they'll have the update for an Android phone?
Sorry?
Speak up. I'm trying not to crazy bad echo. When do you think they'll have the actual update? I can't hear you, Tyler. Let's see here. Hang on. Better? Worse? Can you hear me?
That's better.
Okay.
Better.
What's up, Beaner? What's up?
No, I just said better.
Oh, better. Okay. Sorry, folks. This is our first live broadcast. I haven't used this system in a long time, so bear with me. I have a question.
You're pushing all the right buttons, Tyler.
Yeah,
don't worry.
I am. When do you think the Bluetooth would be available for Android for the AM3?
Okay, they are working on that right now, so it won't be long. I don't have an ETA, but it's already in work. So what we tend to find, or I have found, Android and iOS don't always work hand in hand.
No.
With a lot of these devices. So their Bluetooth for Apple was a lot easier to implement than the Android version, but it won't be far away. That's for sure. So I would expect very, very soon, probably within a few weeks. But I don't have an ETA on that. But they are working on that for sure now that the AM3 is actually on the market, and these are starting to ship. I have actually seen some of these actually in users' hands in the last week. So good to see that. The case is quite nice as well. There is a slight difference in the case. If you have an AM5, you got this kind of I don't know. This looks like something that came out of a DJI drone case.
Yeah.
The AM3 case is a slightly different sort of style. It's more of a dense. I don't know how to describe it really. Like a dense foam. but when I had a look at it, it is actually quite light and actually still quite robust. So there is a slight difference in the case as well, and still comes with a hand controller and USB lead, etc. So,
can you not show?
Any
the
other
case?
questions on that?
Can you not show the case?
Sorry?
Can you not show the case?
I could, but it's next door.
Why is it next door?
If you could.
Beaner can talk for a minute while you go run next door.
You find it. I'll go find the case.
So, Beaner, what do you exactly do for ZWO? And how long have you been with the company?
Well, I answer tickets. So when customers have certain issues, or they have, it's something goes wrong, or they need questions, or even just simple questions, we deal with those as well. So as they come in, we just Simon and I, a lot of times, certain ones we'll talk about, and hopefully we can get the customers back running for any ones that were not working correctly, and answer all the other questions that come in.
Nice. And he's back. Now, Simon, you're going to have to move the case to your left because Beaner's blocking the way I have it set up. Perfect.
Yeah. So this is the AM3 case. It's slightly different than the AM5 case. It's actually it's a bit more compact, actually. I don't know whether you can see it. Get it right there, boy. Can you see that? It's got the AM3, ZWO AM3 logo on it, and it's got some catches on the front. Oh, see, you're more used to doing this shopping channel stuff, Tyler.
Yep.
Comes as a sort of a dense. I don't know what it's made of. Actually, it's not an expanded foam.
It's probably pressed foam.
It's a very very dense plastic. So it is quite nice actually, and quite compact. Nice little handle on the top. So
are those latches that are on the front?
Slightly different.
Did I see?
So do you think, Simon? Do you think they will start doing the AM5 with Bluetooth?
I'm not sure. I think the AM5 cases are bigger because of the weight of the actual mount. I don't think they'll do the same style case.
I'm talking to Bluetooth on the mount.
I'm not actually sure. That's a good question, Beaner. I'm not sure if they can do that in the future.
Start implementing it on the newer models.
So it's an interesting question.
Maybe we'll bring that back.
Something we'll have to something we'll have to take to the marketing team and ask. And that's a good thing. So we do have really good access to the team. Oh, hold on a second.
There's also a question when you get a minute, Simon. Stop looking off camera.
There we go. That's better. Sorry, what was the question?
Question is, when will you be doing an update on the Seestar? Still waiting on the one that I've ordered and haven't paid attention to when it's getting in. Looking forward to doing a review on cloudy nights.
So, Seestar, since we came back from NEAF, it has been a tremendous amount of work going on in headquarters. So those guys have been working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, working on Seestar. I don't think they're very far away, and I don't know whether I should say, but I'm going to anyway. Tomorrow I should have one of the first production release versions arriving on the table, ready so that Beaner and I are educated enough to help support you guys when we get them. So I'm thinking it's only going to be, maybe 3-4 weeks away. I don't have an actual ETA for shipping. I don't think it's that far away. And certainly the one thing to remember is that shipping for those is in order, in order sort of, how do you call that? Gosh, by order of when you actually place the order. Yeah. That sounds wrong. But so if you ordered before NEAF or at NEAF, then you would be pretty much first in line. And there was a lot of orders. I know they have been working very, very hard to make enough of these to try and meet that first demand. But I think if you ordered later on, then you might be waiting a little while later. But the first test versions of the apps are on the Android and on the Apple's app stores. They are not fully finished yet. We're still working on those. There's still updates being applied to them. I don't think you'll have to wait very long. Certainly, where are we? We're in the middle of August. I don't know. We may be surprised in the next few weeks, but I don't think they're a long way off from what I see. So, but we'll do an update on this to cover off what this looks like in the production release box. I'm expecting. We had a lot of. Let's talk about Seestar then while we're
kick it over to your left
while we're on this. Sorry.
Kick it over there.
Move to that side, shall I?
Yeah, do that side.
Move it that side. So I mean, there was a lot of discussion at NEAF about Seestar. I think that ZWO did not expect experienced astro imagers to be so interested in Seestar. I think that took them by surprise, to be honest. And I think the original ideas around the Seestar was very much about newcomers to astronomy, consumer level astronomers, people that may not be that experienced, want something very much sort of plug and play. I mean, this thing is really, really plug and play. You basically you turn it on. You don't need to be pointing anywhere in the sky in particular. Put it on the ground. Connect your phone or tablet with the app onto it. You basically choose an object. You can choose that from the Sky Atlas in terms of tonight's best, or you can look for an object, or you can just go to the Sky Atlas and sort of move around, and then literally choose a target the same way as you do in ASI Air. Go to. This thing will. It does have gyroscopes and compasses in it. It will slur around to an approximate area where the object is. It will plate solve, and then it will get close into the object and plate solve again, and it's pretty much on target. So for someone who doesn't doesn't want to mess around with equatorial mounts and polar alignment, then Seestar is absolutely fantastic for that. Now there is a lot of talk. I know people were interested in the Pro mode for Seestar. That will come. It's not available yet, and that goes for things like station mode, access to the exposure levels, more detailed access into the camera settings. We're not there yet. We're really just getting involved into the initial releases of the app. But what we want to do is make sure this is really polished so that when newcomers come into the hobby and buy Seestar, then they're encouraged to go out and look into this further. I think this would be an absolutely fabulous thing for outreach. One of the modes that they're looking at creating is the ability to share the images over Wi-Fi, so that for example, Bina could be operating Seestar. Tyler and I could be connected to Seestar, but not operate, actually in control of it. And then when Bina is talking, to the object he's actually taking pictures of, that will actually appear on our phones. And I think that's an awesome piece of work. So that's still to come. There were some changes. I mean, Bina, I don't know about you, but there was just a zillion and one questions at NEAF.
Yeah, and there still is.
Yes.
Almost every day on the board, we still field those questions, which is great. And there's a lot of excitement behind it. And
the one thing
the great thing about it is they've really been improving everything, just like ZWO does all the time, is improving everything they come out with. Just like the ASI Air, they always made great improvements, time after time. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with the Seestar.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, you had a comment.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to make a comment on is the solar advantages that you can get on it. There's not a lot of small stuff in that category that can do solar without charging at least a premium for the filter.
Yeah.
Plus we have the nice big eclipse here in the United States coming up real soon, so that'll be a nice.
Yeah, you got two. You got the annual and the total.
Hey, you guys are lucky. I can't remember the last time we had a solar.
You can fly back over here
in New Zealand. So, yeah. So, one of the things that surprised us actually at NEAF, although I wasn't quite surprised by it, was that when the advanced astro imagers got looking at Seestar, the first thing that they said was, well, what about narrowband filter, or what about solar? So there has been some changes since NEAF. One of those is the filter drawer in the Seestar now contains 3 filters. It contains the dark filter, which is used for calibration. It contains a UV IR filter, which is just for general color imaging, and ZWO have now included a dual band filter as well, which means that you'll be able to use this if you're in a light polluted area. You could use it to cut down light pollution, although in general terms, a narrowband filter isn't really a good light pollution filter. But I don't know about you guys in the north, but in the south here, in wintertime, it's not too bad for broadband targets, but we really do struggle sometimes in the summer to find things to look at. So the inclusion of that dual band filter will really help open up Seestar, particularly in the south here. And don't forget as well, on those moonlit nights, you'll be able to still image. I did do some testing, so of course I got this home from NEAF. The first thing I was trying to do was actually work out how to put a 2-inch filter on the front of this. I actually got a 54 to 48 mil adapter and actually found a way of actually fixing that inside the front portion of the lens, which is all very well, but when the gap here, when it parks, is very, very small, and you really have to remember not to close Seestar down with that on the front.
Yeah.
So
reminds me of another horror story.
Oh yeah. We won't talk about the horror story with my roll-off roof.
We do have a couple questions too.
Rolling when I didn't want it to roll. I have the video, folks, and it's not safe. It's not safe for any astronomer to watch.
Nope.
It's cringy. Yeah, cringy. I will say one thing though.
Go ahead.
Explore Scientific.
Yeah, it was one of the worst days I felt for you, Simon. I really felt bad for you.
Fiber is strong.
Yeah, the carbon fiber is strong.
Sorry, Peter?
I said I really felt sorry for you that day, my friend. That was awful to watch, I will say.
It is not
like
safe
a worst nightmare.
Not safe.
I think I still have nightmares over stuff like that.
Yeah. So the other thing that will be included with Seestar is the little clip-in solar filter, which will be really, really quite nice. And I've seen some pictures of the team been using that. That's going to fit directly in the front here as a clip-in, which will be quite nice. So nice, simple way of doing solar viewing. Of course, it's a white light filter. It's not it's not HA or anything as fancy as a Lunt. But really just gives you another opportunity to use the Seestar for something else. I think it'd be really good for outreach, for example. There have been a few other amendments. Obviously, we've been looking at the results from from our testing. Dither was introduced to try and improve the noise reduction performance out of it, and we've been working very, very heavily on the noise reduction algorithm to try and get away from that walking noise. Because it is an all-azimuth mount, you are limited in the exposure length that you can do with these before you start to get star blurring. So you are sort of limited to about 10 seconds. Actually, that's not too bad, actually, with the 462 camera in here. It's actually quite good. And, it does all the sort of plate solving and star alignment that you would get off ASI Air. So, in terms of actually creating some nice pictures, nice images, the great thing is you can also grab those images via the USB slot as well. So there's a USB port on the back here, and you can access the storage like the ASI Air on that USB port as well, and you can download all the images, and then you can post-process them in whatever software that you want. So
we do have
ZWO have been listening really, really hard, and they still are. So don't stop feeding back information. Don't stop commenting on the forums. ZWO are monitoring these, daily, and coming up with changes. And there will be more. For example, the Pro mode will certainly have some additional features that are sort of more in line with an advanced astro imager. Cool. I think that's about it on Seestar. Coming soon. I don't have a date. I know everybody's sort of chomping at the bit to find out when these things are going to ship. It won't be too long. And we'll do another update on the production version so everybody can have a look at that as well and see what's coming in the box. But I do love this. I have telescopes and a roll-off roof observatory. I've got all sorts of different telescopes and mounts lying around. But this is really, really fun. For the money, this is something that you could set up in the garden, give the kids their iPad, and go large, and there's no issue with that. The battery lasts about 6 hours. There was some questions. So, does it include a dew heater? Yes, there is a dew heater in the top here as well. It's a 50 millimeter. It's about 200 millimeter focal length. There's a folded optics and nice filter draw, autofocus in there as well. Really, it's like a little one-stop shop. This is the kind of thing you could put in your pack. Go camping, and you don't need to cut along a big rig, and you can still have some fun. And it's something that family can use as well, which is great. So really, really pleased, and it's nice to see that ZWO are listening about this as well. And one of the questions I keep getting asked is, so when's the Seestar Pro or something coming? I don't know if or when that they will do one of these. I'll be very surprised if there's no further development of the Seestar models and the Seestar brand. Seestar is its own feature within ZWO, and I personally feel that yes, you will in the future see more of these. An advanced version of this would be quite nice, but you need to remember. This was not aimed at astro imagers. It was aimed at consumer grade entry, but also the price point. You're not going to get a 183 cooled camera with a larger optics in there, with larger filters, and still maintain a battery life at anywhere near the price point that it was at. But I would like to think that there would be a bigger, more advanced version of this with a, larger price tag, but I'm sure it would sell well. So, any questions on the chat, Tyler? I can't see the chat, so you'll have to be my.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you either. That's the bad part.
No, that's okay.
A couple. One you've already answered about the pre-orders. One was going to be, what is the inside dimension of the Seestar case?
The inside dimension?
Yeah. Measure the inside, and what are the dimensions of the inside?
Oh, the actual...
The actual case. Yeah. What's the inside dimensions?
Well, this thing... What are we looking at here?
Remember, you have to convert it.
Yeah, well, you'll have to convert it for me.
Okay.
What's that? That's 125 millimeters. So what's that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches by kind of what's that? About 7 inches, and it's about the same. That's 4, 5, 6 inches wide.
Okay.
So that's the kind of dimensions. The case is slightly larger, but it's not massive compared to that. I don't have the production case either. The pre-production case we got was going to look very, very different than the production one. So we'll do an unboxing and we'll do a view of what you get in the box and setting it up and everything once the other one arrives. Hopefully tomorrow.
That'll be good.
Passed through customs this morning, so it should be on my desk at work.
Do you know if the ASI Air will ever operate the Seestar?
I don't think so. We used ASI Air in the early days of testing because a lot of the technology inside the Seestar is the same. I don't believe, from what I know, that they will allow the Seestar app to run the ASI Air app to run Seestar, but the Pro version will give better access to a lot of the control around Seestar that you would expect for a more advanced imager. But in terms of actually the ASI Air app working with it, I don't think so. That's not something I'm expecting. There would have to be a lot of work around the ASI Air app to make it fit this.
Which makes sense. For the power, could you use an outside battery pack?
Yes, absolutely. So what I've got is I've got one of these 20 amp USB battery packs used for charging phones. If you connect that via a USB-A to C cable in here, you can charge Seestar and operate it from for an extended period of time using that port. So yes, absolutely you can. And I saw somebody the other day was talking about connecting a USB wireless charging point here, but I'm not sure. Obviously fitting the pack on the body and then actually having a cable. I don't know how they were intending to do that. It was like, that's not a bad idea.
Double-sided Velcro would work.
Yeah. Well, it's got this huge big area on the side here, which is just a flat face. I'm absolutely convinced once these get out in the wild, there'll be so many mods and add-ons and 3D prints and things, and I'm quite sure that somebody will go delving into the optics box. Although, having been in here, you're going to have a hard time, and the filters in here are square and they're not round. So to change out filters, I think it's going to be going to be difficult initially unless somebody does some aftermarket filters,
which is always a possibility.
For sure.
Next question is, will the ASI Studio be upgraded to give the user more processing abilities?
Yeah, so ASI Studio's been a fantastic set, suite of applications. So let me put this out of the way for now. we did a video on this recently. Studio is something that a lot of people overlook, and there are such a ton of features in Studio that you might want to look at. ASI Fits Viewer. If you don't use any else of it, the Fits Viewer is absolutely fantastic. So if you download a Fits file and you want to look into it, I quite often get people saying, "Oh, my camera is no longer showing the green channel or the red channel," and I'll ask them to send me a Fits file. They send me a Fits file, open it in Fits Viewer. All 3 channels are there. So, okay, so whatever you're doing on your software, you need to have a look at it. But for settings, because in the Fits Viewer you can actually see that. So they are they have added a lot to ASI Studio. So, for example, now you can control the AM series mounts in there. You can do autofocus, for example, inside there. I don't think they'll have integrated guiding, because you could run PHD 2 alongside it and use it that way. But for sure, they've added, they'll keep adding things. One of the things that they did add recently was a channel combination, LRGB channel combination for filter users. So there's a lot of things that they keep adding to this. So there's, recently they also added like the meteor capture software in there as well. So ZWO are always looking to add and generate new features inside Studio. And if you've got some ideas of things that you want to include, then please email the support line via the website and give us some ideas, because we're always, being around, always feeding back into headquarters.
Let's talk about the Duo.
Duo.
Yeah.
Duo.
I know you have one. I haven't got one. I know Beaner's got one, but I don't got one. But still.
There's a theme going on here.
Oh, sorry.
Folks.
Let me get back on topic here. The reason why I want to bring up the Duo is everybody wants to know if it works on RASA, at least an 8-inch. Why? Why would you want to use this on a RASA when the image circle that it requires is bigger than what their ASA 8 provides?
Oh,
I think you're pointing the wrong way. So yeah, when we first got Duo, one of the things that we tested was just there was a huge amount of, I don't know, it was crazy. There was so much negativity about, it won't work, and it's been tried before, and it won't work through filters, and why are they doing it this? So one of the first things we did was actually try this with filters. Tried it with even down to like 3 nanometers, works fine, and even with some slower scopes. And then, of course, the question was about RASA. I don't have a RASA, but this guy does.
Other side.
That's for sure.
Yes. Well, it was tight on the circle. So the image circle, I believe, what did we have on that, Simon? I think it was 20. What was it? I think it was 22 on that one.
Yeah, I think it was it 28 millimeters or something like that as an image circle on RASA, on the 8.
Yeah, it was tight. I remember it was really tight, and that was the question, right? And so, in order to do that, we needed to. There's some parts that I used from Starzonium that kind of put that give you the ability to use the 2-inch filters with the RASA and on the Duo, and it also gets you the correct back focus. Once you have that in there, it sets right up. I mean, I don't think I really had to do too much to it to really get her going and dial her in. It was pretty great. And actually, Tyler, if you can give me a little control here, I'll probably share here. I had some.
You have it now. There you go.
So we had some really good guiding. So right out of the box, dialed it in. Took all of, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to sit there and tinker around. Ended up with a 0.3 to a 0.28 to a 0.37 for pretty much. I still run those numbers almost all the time right now. It's been a dream. It's been fantastic.
That's on the AM5, right?
It's been on the AM5 and the Ioptron 740 EC. So I've done it on both tripods, and both dreamy. I have no complaints whatsoever. This thing is guided like a dream. It's really surpassed everything I've thrown at it. I even went as far as, let me see, we have the big dark Canadian smoke here in the Midwest, and as you can see, we were covered by this awful monstrosity of smoke, and I was still able to guide. I think I had 4 stars on the whole, that I could see naked eye, and I was still pulling in guiding. I think I pulled in a 0.67 here. So this thing really, it is finding them, trialing them in. It's great. It floored me when I got through that. I'll tell you what. The other thing, here's the filter holder from Starzonia I was talking about. This is the part that'll get you going with filters, correct back focus, everything. And then I also did my testing using the dual band 5 nanometers, the ALP T Antlias. So I did both the HA and O3 and SI hydrogen beta. Both worked well, no issues in either guiding or anything like that. So so here was my hydrogen beta. Barely ever, didn't really do any editing with this one. That's the SI channel and hydrogen beta, and then my combined SHO. So worked out really well. I was very happy with what Rasa turned out for us here. Give me a second.
So what you were saying is, right out of the box, you couldn't get it to work, theoretically. So you had to call Starzona to get some adapters, I'm assuming?
I believe, yes, you do. Yes. Like, I don't, I didn't try it with my original. I had the filter drawer put in. So the Starzonia filter drawer. So in that you have to, in order to get the correct back focus, the filter drawer doesn't work.
Okay.
So I had to swap that out in order to get the correct back focus for the 2600. And it's the same thing with the 6200. I believe you got to have that.
You got to have that little filter, the backup thing. So remember that, folks. If you want to do this camera, you got to call Starzona because they have all the adapters that you need. Just call Steve.
But that's more about the camera back focus than the Duo, though.
Correct.
Bina.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you use one of the 17.5mm back focus cameras like the 26, the 6200, etc., then yeah, then you need those adapters.
17.5mm back focus, I believe.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I mean, my experience so far with Duo has been fantastic. And the one thing that, in terms of the ASI 220 is, how sensitive that chip really is compared to, say, the 290 or the 120 or even the 174. So, I think that's the secret sauce, I think, in terms of the efficiency of that chip, the ability for it to pull out stars through narrowband filters. I think that's why it's so good. But the one thing I wanted to add was that for what we found with the Rasa, what we found with the Hyperstar system, for example, is that just because the image circle is a stated size, that doesn't necessarily mean that that Duo won't work with it. What we have found is that the stated image circles generally are there because that's where they can guarantee the star shape. Further out, the stars may not be as round, but you'll still be able to guide quite happily on them. ASI Air PhD2 will be able to find the centroid of the star and still guide okay. So
the one thing I wanted to mention there, Simon, was when I first did hook it up, the stars on the guiding looked like seagulls. So guys, there is a bin 2 toggle switch on, and it depends on what you're using, but in the ASI Air, there is a toggle switch for the bin 2 mode. That's what you want to hit, because otherwise, I don't think it was. There's
also this nice little knob.
Not quite so great.
Also good to remember this little.
I hit bin 2 mode. It was pinpoint, dead on, straight star. So just giving you that pointer, so that when people start going, this doesn't look right, look to that bin 2.
Bin 2, yeah. And that don't forget, you've got this little focus knob on the side as well. So this actually adjusts the focus point of the guide chip independently of the main chip as well. So that's something that you can also use. And another thing that's quite nice is the cover glass is UV-IR on this. I don't know if you can see that, but it does also cover the guide chip as well. So your guide camera has a UV-IR filter built in, which is something that's quite nice.
So there is a question. Do you know if the Duo can guide with the Celestron Edge HD with the 0.7 reducer? Because the image circle is slightly less than 28 mil.
I haven't tried it, but I would personally believe that you would be able to, that the image circle will be bigger than 28 millimeters. But I haven't actually seen one in use. But from what we've seen so far about stated image circles, I wouldn't be surprised at all. So if you can borrow one, try one, let us know. We'll be very, very interested in hearing that. There's a few other changes to this to the Duo as well, and you should watch the video that we did on Duo. You do have now this particular camera. You have the ability to go into negative gain. So normally on the 2600, you've got gain 0, gain 100, and they actually opened up the gain in the ASI Air to 300. But you can actually send this into negative gain now and gain access to a much deeper well depth. So if you're doing broadband imaging and you want to do some longer exposures on brighter objects, you can actually go the other way. You can actually start to go like minus 10, minus 20, minus 100 gain, and that'll give you even increased well depth as well. The other thing that is new to Duo as well, and actually this is actually quite an interesting one. So this is the new 54mm tilt plate, and it's designed for this camera. It'll work with the 6200 as well, and it actually opens up. I can get this on camera. This actually opens up a rear adjustable tilt screw. 54mm on the front, and it keeps the same back focus. So the camera actually sits up inside the tilt plate adapter. It's just secured on the front instead of the normal sort of tilt plate. You take that off and replace it with this, and it actually sinks down. Now, on the 6200, one of the questions that we got asked a lot was, well, how can I fit the 6200 to the 50mm square filter wheel? Well, this now has the screw threads on the front here and the pattern. to allow you to connect the 6200 to the 50mm wheel. So if you want one of those, then you can do it that way and get away from the sort of 48mm T2 type filters. All you need to do is buy the 54mm tilt plate adapter, take the old tilt plate off, put this on, then you get access to that screw pattern for the EFW 50. So that's quite nice. I think that pretty much covers off Duo. I mean, we've tested it pretty much now on Razo. TJ's tested it on Hyperstar. He's tested it on his standard 11-inch f10 Edge. He's tested it with the reducer, tested it with filters. We've tested it on a huge range of refractors. I've tried it on the TAC, which was the first scope I had. Of course, that's got a image circle the size of a small city. But tested it on the ES127 with the reducer, and that's got a much smaller image circle than full frame. And all of these work. So far, I've not come up with a scope that it hasn't worked on, and no issue with the narrowband filters. So I'm actually really quite taken with the little Duo. It's really nice. I actually find the guiding really, really accurate, because actually what you're doing with this is actually on-axis guiding. You're not using an off-axis guider where you're pulling the light out in a prism and then into a guide camera up here. You're actually guiding on the same axes, which I actually think is actually more accurate. That's my experience so far. I know TJ's found that, and probably Bina, you're probably finding the same results with that with the Razo actually. Yeah. You're almost making me buy a Razo now.
Yeah, the only thing I wish, at least on the 8 Rasa, is that they would have put the dial on the top of the camera, and maybe it's something we can, because when with the dew shield on, getting to that little screw to the dial,
getting down into the.
Yeah, I had to rip dew shield off a couple times to get in, but once it's set, you're pretty solid. I haven't touched it since it's been set, but
yeah.
And it'd be one of those things that,
with the refractors. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a future thing as we could bring it back. It's because, it's the one
it's
type
really hard.
thing.
One of the things I've noticed, so you may have not noticed this on the sort of adverts on the website, but it's now gone kind of a sandwich. Them sort of the typical sort of cooler at the back here, and if you've never taken one of these covers off, basically there is a printed circuit board here, which is actually the USB hub, and all of the comms, the power and cooling control for the tech, the heat sink, and then normally at the back here there is the printed circuit board for the main chip with the cooler, which is actually the other side of it, which is sealed. But in this one, you've actually got this additional sort of layer. I know that's actually one of the reasons why these have been a little bit slow to get off the mark in terms of shipping. And these are shipping now. I've seen a few people with these now. This adds a little bit of complexity to it, and also a little bit of a little bit more to make sure that the quality is there when we actually send them out the factory because of the alignment. But they do have this sort of sandwiched effect, which is quite different than the standard 2600. Any more questions, Tyler, on the chat about Duo?
There's a couple. One, you answered, when they're shipping. The other one is it correct that the Duo has a fully suspended fan, so vibration is no longer an issue?
Yes, so in fact, it's not just Duo, actually. All of the they're called cameras now, and I can't really show it to you. So the way that the fan now mounts, it actually mounts on a set of rubber suspension gasket, so the fan is actually off the back panel and actually sits with some buffer between that and the actual chassis of the camera. So yes, that has been changed. That's come about because I don't know why the 8-inch Edge HD seems to be the most sort of susceptible to it, where you get vibration, and I don't know whether it's to do with the actual setup. There's a natural resonance, but certainly the 8-inch SCT has been one of the most problematic around that. But again, ZWO have responded to that, and they've actually changed. In fact, you can't actually see it, but actually there is a set of rubber washers in there now that actually keep the fan off the actual chassis. So fingers crossed. Cool.
Yep, that was it. That was all the questions so far.
Excellent. Good questions. Alrighty, what's next? Shall we have a look at the refractors?
No, I know what I want to talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about the CAA.
We'll get to that. Goodness me. Let me find some space here. Maybe I need to turn this round.
No, that's good.
I'll move
that's
up
fine.
This end of the table. So, I can't see because Bina's in the way.
I know.
Bina's head's in the way.
Let me fix it.
Can you move him?
Yeah, I can move him. You talk, I'll move.
Move him up to the top there.
Hey, it's my show.
I can't help it.
Put Bina in the corner.
There you go.
Put Bina in the corner.
He's in the corner.
Great, that's awesome. So I know that a few people have been asking about the refractors, and these are now starting to go out the door. I've seen some people this week with the 130s. I have had the 107 for testing here in New Zealand. Just very quickly to go over the range. So the 130 is the granddaddy of them all. And there's a 107, which is this one, which is not exactly small either. There is an 80 and there is a 65 mil in these ranges. They're all either sort of F7, F6ish, depending on the which model you want. There is an optional reducer. Now, if you were clever and bought this on the early bird, you actually got the reducer for free. So there's quite a nice large reducer there. That's the 107 and 130. They do fit up inside the draw tube, which is really, really nice. All of the models have a camera angle adjuster as well, which is quite nice. And one of the great things is that we've actually been able to get these manufactured with a degree readout. One of the things that I don't have, so I have my little FRA 400 here, which has been an absolute workhorse. It's got a camera angle adjuster as well, but it doesn't have any readout. Now, you get really, really good at guessing angles on this thing out in the dark, but it does get a little bit frustrating at times. And that frustration has been taken out here because there's actually a little readout, and there's even a little arrow on it as well, so you can work out where it is. Very, very nice set of anodized rings, milled bars, and that's really, really nice. Nice finish to it. One of the great things I like about this as well is that the dew shield has a really, really nice tight knob. So you won't find it slipping back. And what I've found is, depending on how bad your nights are, you don't need to have it all the way out. I've actually started to use it a little bit further down to minimize the length. The other great thing about these is the focuser. Now the focuser is all set up so that you can fit the EAF straight out of the box. All the fittings in the EAF will fit directly to this focuser. It's actually a really, really nice focuser as well. And that means that within a few minutes, if you've got one of these and you've got an EAF, you can drop this straight on without any issue whatsoever. Now, the 107 is I think it's about 12 kilos in weight. It is certainly not a lightweight scope. I would say for this, you're topping out the AM3. By the time you've added, an ASI Air or another, maybe an Eagle or something like that, by the time you've added your camera and filter wheel, etc., that's starting to top that out on an AM3. Certainly the smaller one, the 80 and the 65 would be fine. The 130 is serious weight. And if you watch our video we did from NEAF, we were standing in front of that thing. Putting that on the AM5 was a two-man job. Well, it was for me anyway. I'm sure Tyler will throw some rocks at me for that. But
it's a pretty short guy.
It is really a rocket.
Yeah,
really nice though.
Just for anybody, 12 kilograms is 26 pounds. That's a big telescope.
It is.
It really is.
Yep.
So that means the 130's got to be, 34 pounds, roughly?
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I get mine.
I'm still waiting for mine.
Oh. Here's a name. I'll just drop that in there. I'll tell you when I get mine.
So mean.
It's very nice.
So do we know what kind of glass is that are on these telescopes?
Now, like a lot of these, and let's not beat around the bush. These are badge scopes. They're not something that ZWO has had, designed from scratch. Like a lot of the telescopes on the market these days, they are kind of badged. They don't actually specify what the ED glass is in there. I would expect it's something like FCD 100, something like that, FPL 55. Which is something that a lot of these new telescopes. So, for example, so this is an 80 mil from Telescope Express. Actually, it's a really, really nice telescope. It's really sharp, 80 millimeters. This is FPL 55. There'll be a review of this coming. And it's got a nice screw-on reducer as well. We'll have a review coming of that soon too. And this is using FPL 55. Now, FPL 55 is quite interesting because it's like FPL 53, but from what I've read, it's a lot harder, which makes it a lot easier to machine and polish. And it's the same glass that they use in mobile phone optics. So it's a lot easier to get hold of and machine. So but in terms of actually what it is, no, they don't actually say. They all come with these adapters as well. So if you want to use this native, you can just screw this onto the back of the visual back. Now you've got the ability to use 48, 54, and I can't remember what it was, 68 or something like that on there as well. So you can actually use different setups. The great thing about this is that you can put this on here and thread Duo onto here, and that's native F7, and then you can remove that, screw on the reducer. I use this with a filter drawer as an M54 drawer, and then pretty much you've got F7 down to was that 0.7 reduction. It's 5.6, something like that, 5.6. So really, really nice. It's a beautiful finish to it. I've been impressed with it. In terms of optical performance, I have tried this new refractor with both the 2600 Duo and with the 6200 MC. With no reducer in, the stars in both the full frame and in the APS-C are sharp to the corners. No issues whatsoever. Very, very nice and beautiful sharp stars, actually. Very, very low chromatic aberration. Actually, really impressed with it. With the reducer, I would say there's a slight difference in there. And with full frame and the reducer, I did find some of the stars in the corners weren't super looking, but I that's a challenge for any of the any of the scopes with full frame. Very, very few of them. The corner stars are really good. And with the APS-C was no problem at all. So if you have a 2600, the reducer's fine. If you've got full frame, you may just have to look at that and crop the edges, or just it wasn't massive, but it would definitely, if you're a pixel people, which I know a lot of people are, then that wasn't perfect. But it's still very, very nice scope, and of course it matches all of the the redness that ZWO is. You, with the 130 and the 107, you get a very, very nice carrying case with it, a hard case. With the 80 and the 65, it doesn't come with a case. It comes where they just come in a standard box. Really nice. I'm been quite impressed with that. But yeah, as I say, not lightweight. They're a lot heavier than I expected. So if you're planning to use a 130 on an AM5, you might want to start looking at the counterweight bar and a counterweight, because that is a big beast, that's for sure. Any questions online, Tyler?
No, everybody just wants to know about the CAA. I mean, the telescope's gorgeous.
About the camera angle adjuster.
Yeah, I mean the telescope is gorgeous, but everybody wants a CAA.
Everybody wants a CAA. Well, I'm not surprised. Yeah. So, where is the camera angle adjuster? Well, I think first off, we received a ton of feedback at NEAF, which was really, really good. But I think with Seestar and with the other bits and pieces that the ZWO have been doing, they've really, really been focused on getting that done. So that means that, unfortunately, the camera angle adjuster took a bit of a back seat. But I actually need your help, and ZWO have actually asked me to ask you this. Is right now this 54 millimeters and has a USB port. You can plug in the hand controller to do manual adjustments. It's got this very, very nice cutout here, so that you can screw it onto the refractors without it hitting the reducer. What else would you want out of one of these? Is 54 millimeters okay? Do you really need bigger? What kind of payload? I've tested this with APS-C with a filter wheel, and was absolutely fine. The one thing you'll notice if you're an ASI user, of course, the manual rotation is already built into the ASI Air in previous releases. So, in terms of actually integrating an electronic rotator, I don't think that's a huge step. But I think one of the things that ZWO are interested in is just knowing, is there anything else? Having seen this, what else would you want to add to it? What else would you expect out of it?
So here's an interesting one. There's a comment saying that he can't see a reason why people really want one right now.
Well, I've used camera angle adjusters, or rotators as you call them, for many, many years. If you're doing multiple targets in a night, then that's really a great thing. If you're just setting up and you only do one target a night, you maybe don't need a rotator. If you're happy with the manual rotation on the back of the telescope, and you can use that all very well. But if you like automating the whole process, a lot of people I'm surprised by the number of people that are actually using ASI Air and observatory setups, and that's something that actually is quite interesting. So if you were using this on a remote observatory, my observatory, for example, is about 100 meters, 300 feet down the paddock here. So for me to jump back and forwards to change a camera angle is quite a journey. Doing it remotely is quite nice. So I think for some people, who have automated setups, who want to automate the whole thing, do multiple targets, then that does take the stress out of it. Whereas with a camera angle as manual, you're forever trying to adjust it. But hey, it's just something that some people like and use. I personally, I have a camera electronic rotator on all my setups, certainly the fixed ones.
Same.
And really enjoyed it. Yeah. So any other? I guess the question is when. Well, I think once Seestar's out of the way, then the focus will go back onto these to try and get them out as quickly as we can. So where are we? August, probably early part of 2024. I would suspect.
Having just any type of rotation in the image train has changed the game, because it's hot here, and getting up at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night to change the angle is just no go.
Yeah.
No.
I'll choose another target.
Exactly. It's like I'm just going to change it up.
Or I'll give up and just use the rotation angle that I've got. Yeah. Use the framing I've got. If you're the other reason why you would want one of these is if you're doing mosaics. So if you're doing a mosaic, then absolutely the rotator ensures that the framing in your, if you do a mosaic in ASI Air, if you do multiple panels, you'll see that they're actually in a curve, because actually, and sky is actually curved for us.
We're not flat.
What this does is allows you to do that framing very, very accurately, so the overlap is correct, so you don't get gaps.
How much will it cost? Has ZWO even talked about price?
No, but in general ZWO fashion, I expect it to be, competitive. Is that a nice way of saying
that's
it?
That's a nice word.
Yeah,
that's a nice word.
I don't expect that you'll be breaking the bank with it. That's for sure.
How about power? Now, will the Mini power this, or does it need to be the Pro on the ASI Air?
The Mini for sure will power this. It's powered over USB, so there's no requirement to add another 12-volt line to this. It's powered over USB, so the power port on the Mini is more than capable of driving these USB devices. And you won't need to, won't need to use a Pro or a Plus for that. It is USB 2, so it's it's relatively low speed. I didn't have any problem driving it from ASI Air. Which one would that be? That would have been a Plus, but one of the first plus ones.
So it's just standard power that any ASI Air can put out.
Yeah.
Run the rotation.
I have actually tested the ASCOM drivers for this, which is how we tested it, because it doesn't integrate with the ASI Air as of yet. But the ASCOM rotation also exists right now, so you're able to integrate this into Nina or SGP, and no doubt ASI Studio when it releases, because that's a straight device. So the ASCOM drivers, it's an HID device, so there's no actual USB driver needed. The ASCOM drivers address that, provide rotation. You can change the angle, you can change the accuracy, step sizes, etc. And
what about back focus?
The back focus. Well, the back focus is basically the same 16.5 millimeters as one of the adapters. So basically what you would do is you would actually remove one of the M48 adapters and put this in its place. But I think that's one of the questions, is like, well, how, I know that Sam is very keen to know how people would use one of these. Oh, you're going down there now. Come on.
Get fix the audio. That's what I've been doing in the background.
Yeah. So I think early 2024. But please, put in the chat. Send me an email to the support line. What are the kind of things that right now it comes with an M48 and an M54 adapter plate. You can change the adapter plates by the screws on the front here. You can take this off, put an M48 on it. It will screw straight onto the telescopes. And what else would you consider? It's got one USB. I know there was discussion about USB ports on it, and it's kind of like, well, not sure I've seen another rotator on the market that has a USB port and hub on this. That would then start to use more power, and then you've got more stuff sticking out of this. I'm not sure I would want more stuff sticking out the side of the rotator. That might be asking for trouble.
Correct.
Does have a manual port on there, so if you're wanting to drive it around manually, you can do. What are you doing over there, Tyler? You're all squishy.
Well, if I make it too big, then I blow you up.
He's trying to make himself.
Anything else from the chat on?
No, they were talking about dust, cleaning dust, about flats.
You have to turn yourself up, because I can't hear you.
That better? Better for you?
Much better.
Okay. Don't want to increase the cost with more stuff, like you were saying with CAA.
Yeah.
So if you add more bells and whistles,
the worry. When you start adding, more and more adapters that people don't want, more and more, more and more complexity around it, then of course that
just make it rotate.
Bangs up the price.
That's it. Just make it rotate.
So, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Wow. Why'd you gotta go there?
But it is metal body. It's it isn't. It is. I was quite surprised when this arrived on my doorstep. How I took it out of the box and was like, wow, it's really aluminium. So it's milled like the same style body as the ASI Air, and is really robust. You won't be it's not going to be bending like a plastic cased rotator. So
how accurate is the terms of angle?
I think at the last look it was 0.1 of a degree.
Okay.
Which, to be honest, I've never really gotten within. Normally, as long as I'm within half a degree of framing, I don't really care. I think it's about 0.1. I think it was when we looked at it, but that's not to say it won't be slightly more. A better step size, but you can adjust the step size in terms of speed, etc. So you can make the rotation slower. Although, having owned a Moonlight Nightcrawler, that you can go and make a cup of coffee while that thing turns.
No kidding.
It's still turning.
What about the payload capacity?
I think last time I looked, it was about 5 kilos or something. So put it like this: if you add in a filter wheel and the largest camera we've got, you'd still be under spec. So I don't think you want to put anything more on that. It's not like you're putting a commercial grade medium format camera off the end of it, which you want something much bigger than anyway. So
of course. How much better is the accuracy with a manual rotator? Which I guess that would just depends on you. really.
Yeah. How good I. So I think where are we? So the markings on the 107 are in 1 degree segments, and if you can go onto that and undo it and in the dark move it by 1 degree, then
without a flashlight,
better man than I, because I can't.
So
that's for sure.
I believe you answered this question. James is wanting to know when the rotator will be released. But didn't you say possibly 2024?
I think sometime in Q1 in 2024. Look, I think the team got overloaded with Seestar. They got overloaded with the workaround AM3, and I think, unfortunately, this is one of the downside was that the development of this took a bit of a backseat. But we might be surprised. It might be earlier than that. But I know that we do have these in prototype. So TJ has one, I have one. We've been using them and placed some feedback to the team. We've made a whole bunch of changes to the ASCOM drivers and retested those. I think probably there's not a lot of change unless there's a large amount of feedback about the size, shape, weights, etc. I don't see it necessary to keep adding ports and things onto it. It kind of does what it needs to do, right? As long as it's does it, then that's the main thing. Now where's Tyler gone?
Changing the camera angle. I don't like it.
It disappeared completely.
Didn't make you skinny enough.
I have the ability.
Cool. What else was there? That was it, wasn't it?
If you need a beta tester in New Zealand. Well, James, Simon is in New Zealand. That's the beauty part.
Was that James Glucksman?
It just says James, so I would assume so.
I bet it's James. Yeah, I bet it's James Glucksman. Yeah, sorry.
But James, I know a beta tester that can help you in New Zealand.
So do I. You're looking at him. So yeah, for sure. Look, I think so. That's the other thing as well about the rotator. If you're ready to release this, then the other thing that's going to have to happen is that you wouldn't release this without having the integration in ASI Air, because a large market portion for those rotators will come from ASI Air users. So that's got to be integrated, and we've not even started that yet. So there'll definitely be some work on that. Cool. Well, I finished all the toy shows. So do we have any questions, any Q&As, or any? So just open up the chat to anything that you might want to ask about ZWO products, or anything that's bugging you as a newcomer. Because one of the things that Tyler and I created Astroworkz because we wanted to help beginners. And Bina and I spend a lot of time in our day, answering questions on the ZWO technical pages and on Facebook. It does surprise us sometimes the difficulties that beginners encounter. Even with ASI Air, ASI Air has been fantastic. It's opened up the market to a huge range of astro images that would have never attempted this before. But the downside is that we're bringing people into the hobby now that maybe don't have the same technical know-how. So we need to remember that we've got beginners here that need help. And even simple things. So we've got a video up and coming very shortly about focusing guide cameras.
Yes.
Now, I have to apologize. When I looked at this, doing the script for this video, I was really like, really? Focusing a guide camera is difficult? But actually, the more and more I've looked into this for the video, was like, okay, I can see why some people might have a problem with this. So it clearly needs, needs covered off.
There's a lot of different tools to use when doing astrophotography.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. So how do you, I've got a guide scope, I've got a guide camera, how do they fit together? And they're all different types. But also then is, well, how do I focus this? I put it on the stars and I can't see stars, and now what? I'm getting frustrated. So yeah, we'll definitely come up with a video on that within the next week or so. We've got a video on updating the AM series firmware. That also seems to be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's Bina and I are getting a lot of questions about that as well. So that will be something, and we'll do that too. And we'll have another look at setting up these new refractors, and I think it's simple things actually. To trouble beginners, down those first months into the hobby, and that's why we set up Astroworks and why we want to help you guys. So that's a very puzzled look, Tyler.
I'm just reading. Sorry.
Puzzled.
There's a lot of questions. Just waiting for you
Cool.
to be done with
What have we
your
got?
soapbox. Let's see.
Yeah.
Can the CA rotator be used with an alt-as mount to do longer exposures?
That is a good question. We don't have the ability to do that right now, but if you, well, certainly not from ASI Air. That's a good idea. From ASCOM and PhD2, if Nina and SGP support rotation for field rotation, then yes, absolutely. Does Nina have field rotation capability?
Yes, it does.
Okay, then it would, because it's an ASCOM device. So if you're using ASCOM, absolutely. Yes, you would, but not in ASI Air, because it's not that's not been built in yet. But it's a good thing that we'll send back into the team. Don't forget alt-azimuth mount users and field rotation.
No, can't forget them. Would the ASI Meteor Cap ever be included into the ASI Air?
I don't think so. The reason being is that for most people, all-sky cameras and meteor capture tend to be sort of very separate from from normal sort of deep sky or planetary imaging. So that's likely, I think, to stay as a standalone app. But go and have a look at it. I mean, it's it's a small piece of software. You could run that on a mini PC. Certainly, it doesn't. It's not a hugely intensive piece of So that's something that we will cover off as well. Is how to set one of these up, which is a mini PC. How you can use one of these. So if you don't want to use ASI Air, if you want to use SGP and Nina, but have a lower PC, then one of these little fanless PCs is the way to go. They're actually pretty impressive in terms of their capabilities, in terms of CPU, etc.
Yeah.
So and they've got quite a lot of ports on them as well. So you can easily adapt one of these. They even have these nice little ISA bracket mounts on the top, so you could actually build a little bracket. They do actually come with a little plastic.
They come with a wall mount.
Little plastic plate, which you could actually, build on an aluminium plate with a, a foot for a Vixen bar, for example, and then clamp that onto your mount. And they've got actually quite a decent set of Wi-Fi on them as well. So that's something we'll cover off too. Because if you don't want to use ASI Air and you want ASCOM, but you don't want a laptop or something with you, then that's quite useful.
Of course. So Dale, he uses the 533 EMC. At gain 100, what are the advantages of different gains?
Cool. Good question. So on a lot of the ZWO cameras, like the 2600, the 533, 6200, etc., Gain 100 is where high conversion mode kicks in. And high conversion mode means that read noise drops significantly. So if you want the lowest noise that you can get out of your camera, while still maintaining a reasonable depth for... Oh, hello. The cat's just come to say hello. If you still want to maintain a decent depth so you don't blow out stars, then Gain 100's where you want to be. If you're happy to go with a noisier image, but you want a deeper well depth again, then you can go to Gain 0. Or if you want a higher gain but you end up with lower noise, then you can go higher. But Gain 100 is the sweet spot.
Does it make sense to go to 101, Simon?
Sorry?
Does it make sense to go 101? I know that's always a big question out there.
I don't think I think Gain 100 is kind of a sweet spot. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've noticed any difference between 101 and 100. I don't think there's
No, I think a lot of people get nervous that if I'm at Gain 100, maybe it doesn't kick in right. It's not like that. If you set Gain 100, it kicks in. It's fine. If 101 makes you feel better, then just use 101. There's no difference between 100 and 101.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel more comfortable and sleep at night, then use it. Gain 100 absolutely would be my go-to. But if you've got a narrowband filter in there, you might want to push the gain a little bit more. And that's why ZWO brought in Gain 300, because they had so many requests for higher gain. But just and don't forget all of the product pages. And this is something that we get asked a lot. All of the product pages for the cameras has a graph in there that maps the gain, temperatures, and the values for dynamic range versus all of these settings. So you can then optimize dynamic range versus the gain versus the temperature and read noise, etc., and work it out to what you want. If you're a beginner, Gain 100. And the other thing is as well as temperatures with the 533, the 2600, the 62. Gain temperatures are 0 degrees or even -10. You'll get really, really low noise data. You can push it further. I mean, if you've got a temperature outside at night that allows you to go further, utilize it. But I tend to stick to -10 because that's something I can get to all year round here. Although, if you're like Tyler, melting in his shed, then you might want to,
things I do for the viewers.
You might be struggling to reach 10 degrees. Never mind anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't. It will not reach in the current weather that we're in. It will not reach -10. It won't. It's too hot.
Yeah.
So we do have one question. The
cool.
AM3, when is it going to be available for the Australians?
From dealers or from ZWO? So if you order now from ZWO, I think they had them in stock. You could order straight from stock. If you're the great thing about living in Australia versus shipping from ZWO HQ is that it's about 4 days. Really fast, because we're on a direct path from China through Hong Kong and then the out or Singapore and out. So we've got good good Pacific runs into HQ. So my advice, if you want one, just order one directly. You'll get it quicker than through the dealers. So that would be my advice. Even in the States, I think you have the same. I know.
Yeah, and not to mention that sometimes dealers, I'm a proponent of going right to ZWO for a lot of things. They've been pretty quick on shipping and getting everything right to you right away. Especially with the loss of opt and some of the deals of having that happened with the opt dissolve. Would not have showed up if it was
real shame to see.
Yeah, it was, and then having to deal with the unfortunate customers that got caught up in the middle of it too. It's quite awful. So and most of the ones that do.
That has been a sad part actually, because that was not a clean close down, and there has been a number of customers that have gotten stuck in that mess, either with stuff that they've ordered or their warranty repairs that they've had in play with OPT, with no clue where their gear is, which is really, really sad. If you have something now that you bought from OPT, then ZWO will manage that warranty for you. But these are people that actually had their equipment with OPT, and there's no trace of what the hell happened to that gear, which is
that's one of the things I always tell people to think of too. Is when you're going through a dealer or ZWO, ZWO, you're not going to get trapped into that. So that was
How is the Seestar release date going? For people that are
what was that, Tyler?
In. I know you can hear me. Oh, darn it. How is the Seestar release date going? For the people that are just tuning in.
It's coming.
I know.
So if you've only just joined at the start of this, we did talk about Seestar. You have to rewatch the video, go back and watch it. But tomorrow I should get a production version of Seestar arriving. It's in New Zealand. Bina's on the way too. So we will have production ones to start getting to know what's in the box and how all of the stuff's fitting, the solar filters, etc., and making sure that we're proficient so that when these hit the market, we can support you guys. But in terms of the actual date, I have no actual date, but I would expect not that long. To be honest, we can't be far away because we've got release versions of the software on the app stores. They are being refined. They're continuing to be refined. The team have been working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day on this, and working really, really hard to make sure that these, the quality is there. So within a few weeks, I would expect we'll start to see these. And don't forget, they're shipped in order of when you place your order as well. So if you are an early bird, right at the start of the early bird, then you'll be one of the first. If you've only just ordered, then you might get a bit of a wait. But yeah, and I'm just amazed at the response. I'm not just amazed at the response from non astro imagers, but from seasoned astro imagers who want one of these for a variety of reasons. Let the grandkids have one, take one out, go camping, and throw it in the RV just to play with it while the other gear is imaging, outreach. Has been pretty incredible. So thanks for that. And I know there's been another question around, what about the pro mode? What about station mode? That's all coming. We've still got a long way to go yet in terms of the app. The main thing is on day one that the hardware is robust, the support is robust, and the app works as it should. and it's well tested, so that on day one, we get a nice stable product, and then work on what's the future state.
Now, something a little off topic, Simon, that me and you have talked about, that we've seen in the support email from Astroworks. People are more one-on-one sessions.
Yes.
Figured we'd talk about that. We got about 10 more minutes till 9 p.m. I figured that'd be a good stopping point. We've been going for about 2 hours.
So one of the things that Tyler and I have been talking about is how we can help beginners even more. And, one of the, neither Tyler or I are in this to give up our day jobs. We're just, we're not at that stage. I would love it to be. I don't know about you, Tyler. I would love to win the lottery and give up, working, full time and do this full time.
I mean, the whole point of Astroworks is to help everyone. I struggled when I started. I had to look at cloudy nights. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't even know there was an astronomical league local. So I had to learn all on my own. And it was a struggle. Yeah. So now that with the ASI Air, now granted, I do everything opposite with the ASI Air. I do Eagles. I mess with SGP. I just picked up another Eagle, and I'm going to mess with Nina. So I do everything that is not ASI Air related. Doesn't mean I don't know the questions or the answers, but I try to help Astroworks in the other spectrum that's not ZWO related, even though I do know that it is amazing gear.
Yeah. And I think that's where, we're very, very conscious. As I said, ASI has been fabulous. It's brought people into the hobby that would have never touched astro imaging before. And that's been absolutely fabulous. But it is bringing people into the hobby that maybe don't have that background. Things like polar alignment versus, I see questions all the time. Oh, well, I polar aligned and it's really, really accurate. But when I go to the target, it's not on target. Why? It's kind of questions like these, and I can't, I can't set up an off-axis guider, or, kind of thing of the questions, even basic things like connecting mounts. There are some mounts on the market that are really, really easy, and some that are, absolute pegs. I think it's trying to help those. And what Tyler and I were talking about recently was, we will open up a Patreon channel, so that people can subscribe to that, and maybe in smaller groups we'll do some more focused one-to-one sessions, not talking to a script or us doing prezos or promos or whatever, but actually having some closed small group Q&As to try and help people get over this
like a workshop, hurdles. Simon.
Yeah, like workshops.
Exactly, like a workshop.
Yeah, and Tyler and I were also interested, in if people want sort of even more focus, that we could sort of do some more sort of tailored, even one-to-one instruction or Q&As. So that's something we have been looking at. We'll continue doing videos. Continue doing. I like these live streams where we can help people and answer questions. We get so many questions on the ZWO help desk every day. A lot of the topics are the same, and that's the ones that we want to help with. 294 image processing, EAF. Setting up for autofocusing. The one that we need to do something on is setting up auto guiding. So the first step of that is how to set up the guide camera and guide scope, then how to set up auto guiding. Why would you want to do it? How do I do it? Setting up mounts, etc. So these are the kind of things that we want to focus on to help you guys become more proficient. Because a lot of the channels on YouTube, they're up they're up here, but there's a lot of people still down here need help, and we shouldn't forget that. And that's one of the things that we can do to help bring people along, put back into the hobby. So cool.
So it's cool. That was a good little show, I think. I mean, you got to discuss your Seestar, the 107, the Duo, the AM3, the AM5. Is there anything that we missed, folks? Because I think Simon's basically got the workshop in his backyard, if I had to guess.
How about a 2600 Duo?
I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, so that's something that we've discussed with headquarters about. We've got an MC Duo, but what about a monochrome Duo? And that's something that absolutely is being considered from headquarters. Something that I've said, make one, we'll test it, we'll demonstrate it, and we'll see what the market's like for it. But Peter's like,
we'll take it.
please. I mean, that's if you're interested in a monochrome version of Duo, hit that button in the chat and let us know and say yes, please, and we'll feed that back to headquarters. The one thing I have to say, the one thing that I really, really love about working with the team, they're very, very open to feedback, to suggestions, to ideas. They do find it a little bit difficult at times to try and communicate, from their office. English is not their first language, so things can be a little bit challenging. Even Bina and I, sometimes takes a little bit of time when we're trying to sort of fault find with them internally to get the right person, but also to get across any kind of language barriers. But they are extremely interested in hearing suggestions and ideas. So if you've got stuff that you want to see, then drop us a note to the support line and say, hey, I'd really love one of these. And things like adjusting the website to include more spares, things like the plates off the bottom of the TC40, things like that people, there was a question from headquarters like, why does everybody want these plates? Well, they want to fit them to other tripods. Okay, why don't you put them on the website? So that kind of thing, spare adapters, cables, etc.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Cool. Anything else on there?
Nope, not really. Sorry.
All right. Great. Well, that's good. That's awesome. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope it's been informative. We've maybe answered some questions, given you some information. Don't forget, have a look at the product pages. If you have a question about the products, go and have a look at the web page for each of that product. For example, one of the regular questions we get asked is, what does ASI Air support this mount, this camera, this guider or whatever. All of that information is on the web pages. Information about the cameras, voltages, power, cooling, gains, etc. All on the web pages. Don't forget the support pages as well. Support documentation, all the latest, software. Things like Studio are on there. ASI Air images, if you've got an older ASI Air Pro, for example, and you've got a new mount for a Celestron or an Ioptron, the updates are in there. I've blown up the Pro's SD card. How do I replace it? Broke it in half, lost it, bought a second-hand one, it doesn't work. All that stuff is on the website. You can get all that. You yourself can be your own help desk. Instead of actually asking us and then us taking time to answer your questions, all that stuff is in that website. So do go over there, but don't forget you can reach out onto the ZWO support line and ask us if you get stuck. You do have a question, you have a genuine issue, then please do feel free to give us a call. And then ZWO, Bina and I will pick up those from our official capacity. And you can always ask that guy too in the corner. Tyler's usually around the forums too.
Yep. I've got nothing better to do.
I'm looking over here, but actually it's over here.
It's to your right. The opposite of the left is your right.
And I hopefully, we had a great time at NEAF. I have to say thank you to everybody we did meet at NEAF. I had an absolute ball. It was a long, long trip for me because, I was away for 12, 13 days. But I had an absolute ball. I met so many people. And it was absolutely great because it was the first time I met these guys as well, even though we've been working together for a long, long time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back in April and do that again. But we'll do some more of these shows. Try and do a Seestar one very shortly and let people have some questions around that once we've got the production versions.
Which is coming tomorrow.
Say again?
Which is coming tomorrow. You said, right? Because it's past customs.
As of this morning, it was due for delivery tomorrow. So we'll be able to get into that and have a look at it and do a bit of a show and tell about what the production version looks like. Yeah.
Now, if anybody in the Astroworks community wants to get a hold of us and ask us questions, can they send us an email?
Oh gosh, I can't hear you, Tyler. What did you say?
Lord of mercy. You're old. That's what it is.
Need to sort your mic out because
I think we just need to get you hearing aids. That's the problem.
Your lips move, but I can't hear what you say. This is a line for a song.
This is what I have to put up with. So if anybody in the Astroworks community wants to email us, just me or Simon, where's the best place to reach us?
Well, you can email us at astroworks.com, Simon at Astroworks or Tyler at Astroworks. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, on our Astroworks Facebook page, or you can subscribe to our Facebook channel and message us. Also, our YouTube channel, you can subscribe there as well, and you'll get notified when we publish them. So if you enjoyed the broadcast, if you enjoyed what we do, please add the subscription. You'll get notified when we put stuff live, new, and you can also reach out to us in the chat. So if you've seen a video and you've got a question, what we've covered off in that video, please ask us in the comments, and we'll get round to answering them. It might take an awful lot of comments on the videos, but I have to say, we're well over 3,200 and odd subscribers today. Thank you very, very much for your support. The comments we had at NEAF was fantastic. The feedback we get is fantastic. Thank you very, very much. We enjoyed doing it. It is hard work, I have to say. We met YouTubers at NEAF. If you're a YouTuber and you do videos, hats off to you, because there is a lot of effort. Writing the script, recording it, editing it, putting it online, and then putting yourself out there. And it is a nail-biting time. You publish a video and you really don't know how that's going to go down. It can go like, we've done some videos that we thought, oh, this will be awesome, and they've been flat, and you're like, what the heck was that about? And then we've put stuff online, you think, oh, that won't do really well, and suddenly it's gone through the roof. So it is interesting to what goes viral versus what doesn't. But thank you very, very much for the support. Appreciate it. And Bina, thanks very much, man. Really appreciate you coming on. I love working with you. You're doing a great job, and great to have you on the team. And same with Tyler. I mean, we got involved because Tyler needed some mentoring. He still does occasionally.
Sometimes I forget the power button.
He's, we've come a long way, and it's a great team. We've had an absolute ball at NEAF, and these guys are really good. The one thing that we are keen on, just helping people. It's not about retiring on this or making tons of money, or
No.
we just want to bring people on, help them get into the hobby, enjoy it, and get over the trials and tribulations and this is a technical hobby, right? It's not easy, If it was, we try and make it simple with ASI Air, but it's this still a huge amount, to get from, setting up your gear to actually taking an image to processing it to be able to show your friends and family. We know that it's hard. We've all been there.
Yeah.
So
that's the beauty part.
So reach out to us.
Yep.
Hit that subscribe button.
Don't forget.
And when we'll get the Patreon up, have a look on Facebook. Say hello to us on the ZWO forums as well. And more importantly, let us know if there is something that is bugging you. Don't let it bug you. Ask us, because if it's bugging you, it's probably bugging a whole bunch of other people as well. And if it's enough people, asking, then we'll do a video for it too.
That's the only way.
Bina, anything else, buddy?
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Tyler, for allowing me to join in. So I really appreciate it, and it was a great pleasure meeting you both too as well. It was a great time. So I can't wait till next April.
You gotta eat barbecue.
No, not me.
Oh yeah. I don't think they'll keep a barbecue place away from it.
You've never seen the amount of barbecue that this guy can eat.
He's pointing to me, folks. He just can't remember. Yeah, there you go. All right, folks. We appreciate you tuning in to Astroworks TV. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Astroworks TV. It's Astroworks. Ugh. Anyway.
Dan will be sending you a trademark infringement.
I know. If you want to shoot us an email, leave a comment, you know how to reach us. It is astroworks.com. You can always go to our Facebook page. If you want questions, if you want videos, don't be afraid to ask. That's the only way you're going to learn, and we'll get a video up. Till then, you guys have fun, and we'll catch you on another one.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.